This has got to be the most jacked up, insane NBA trade deadline of all time. Luka Doncic went to the Lakers. The Phoenix Suns gorilla got traded to Toronto.
They're switching mascots?
No, Toronto's getting 2 mascots. They traded back salary. Milwaukee traded their floor to frickin' Orlando for tickets to Disney? The frickin' Harlem Globetrotters are trading Hammer Harrison and Diesel Kirkendall. Oh my god, they're trading them to the U.S. Army. They're getting back a drill sergeant named Short Henry. Why would they want a guy named Short Henry? Oh my god, the NBA traded Gatorade for beer. Oh, and it has to be a stout. They say now all of our coolers are going to be filled with a nice creamy stout.
Welcome to No Dunks here on the Athletic Podcast Network. Happy Hump Day and February 12th to you. I'm Tass Mellis. With me, it's the man in the middle, Trey Kirby.
Heyo!
Heyo! And the man making the magic happen, as always, it's JD.
Hello.
What's up, JD? And still paying off his pick'em payoff from January. Where is he? He's from another dimension through time and space. It's Jay Skeets.
Yes, we finally got the rights to Hans. Yes, I'm still here in the bookshelf, still here in the Tesseract, still here in the fifth dimension, still trying to figure out the movie, if I'm being honest. I don't really know how that all works, but here we are. Still paying off that pick'em loss.
Day 3 of 5.
Yeah.
Doing great.
Thank you.
I guess it's day 3 of 5. I don't know how space works. Either way, we'll talk to Joe Dumars a little bit later about why the All-Star game is going to improve this year. We talked to him yesterday, and we didn't have the Kevin Hart news that he's going to be the MC at All-Star Weekend when we talked to him. So that was unfortunate. I didn't get to ask him about that, but we will talk about it a little bit later in the show.
We'll talk about it. Big night for the Hart family. Josh playing really well. Kevin getting the MC of the game.
We'll also get to Brandon Ingram's extension with the Toronto Raptors. But first, let's start with Kevin Durant hitting 30,000 points in his NBA career, the 8th guy to do it. It's a monstrous number. It was a little anticlimactic. He did it on a free throw that cut the deficit to 11 points against the Memphis Grizzlies in an eventual loss. But Skeets, what are your thoughts on KD getting to 30K?
Well, there's a very popular sports meme that goes like this, and I'm going to quote it. Every time I see an Angels highlight, it's like Mike Trout hit 3 home runs and raised his average to 528, while Shohei Ohtani did something that hasn't been done since Tungsten Arm O'Doyle of the 1921 Akron Groomsmen as the Tigers defeated the Angels 8-3. That's Phoenix Suns headlines over the last little while. Devin Booker surpasses Walter Davis to set the franchise all-time scoring record. Kevin Durant becomes the 8th player in NBA history to reach 30,000 points. Suns lose again, now fall below 500. That was my immediate thought. It's like, my God, they keep doing these incredible things there, these star players in Phoenix, and they keep happening in losses. And I know we'll get into the game a little bit, but look, the guy came into the league a bucket, and now he's got 30,000 plus of them. And he's not done. I mean, he very well could catch Wilt and Dirk next season. Probably needs a couple more healthy seasons to potentially catch Jordan. But yeah, it's impressive. It just sucks it came in a loss.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You say anticlimactic that it was at the free throw line, but I kind of like that it was at the free throw line because there was a meme going around last week that said, every basketball fan knows who this is, and it was just a picture of Kevin Durant's legs at the free throw line with his knock-kneed free throw style. How in the world did this guy start shooting like that at the free throw line, knock-kneed while being one of the greatest shooters of all time? Top 8 scorer in NBA history, and never a ball hog. Kevin Durant, like, his career high is 55 points. Kevin Durant could score more than 55 any game he wanted, sometimes it feels like. Yeah. But just plays in the flow of things. It's crazy to think when he came into the NBA, it was a big story that he couldn't bench press 185 pounds once.
Oh, yeah.
Who cares?
He can pick up a basketball.
He can pick up a basketball. Yeah. Put those knees together and make a free throw. Great stuff from him. Still fun to watch. The pull-up, it's unstoppable.
It is absolutely unstoppable. And I gotta figure he's going to finish top 5. Because in front of him now with LeBron, Kareem, Karl Malone, Kobe, MJ, Dirk, and Chamberlain, I mean, needs basically around 3,000 to get there. That's gonna be no problem.
Well, he has to stay healthy.
He does.
That's the big part. When he plays, he's like an automatic 25. I'm with you there, but he's got to play.
Yeah. It was also odd that he went to the free throw line to tie it and pass it. So he tied it with this first one, and the Grizzlies called a timeout. Are they trying to ice him? Are they trying to say, hey, you can't hit this shot? But either way, obviously he did it, and he's the third fastest player to do it. Only MJ and Chamberlain did it faster, but it is a shame just how they are going into this All-Star weekend. They absolutely need it, I suppose. Yeah, they get the Rockets today, which is going to, I'm sure, be another loss, but absolutely no fight to them. They don't have a rotation, really. They don't have Bradley Beal in this game, but was that a problem? I really don't think so. I mean, they were down 19 at one point at home to the Memphis Grizzlies. And, yeah, as you mentioned, Trey, below 500. They're sitting in 11th. We talked yesterday about which team is going to miss the play-in tournament. Of all of these teams, we'll get into another team that may not make it because of injuries a little bit later. But, man, this Suns team just can't find anybody besides these two guys. Again, 30,000 points. And that Devin Booker. And that guy that they just trade for, Nick Richards. That ain't that guy who I think he only played 16 minutes in this game. They had no answers for the Memphis Grizzlies, who play so many guys and are so deep. They ran 11 out there.
Nick Richards has definitely been a dud for the Suns, but Bol, they dusted him off. He had an actually great game. It didn't matter at all because, like you mentioned it, Memphis is too fast and too committed to actually winning. 19-11 in fast break points. That sounded suspiciously low to me because it felt like the Grizzlies were running all night. Turns out 23 of their 43 makes in the game last night were in early shot clock situations from 24 to 15 seconds left on the clock. They were just... whether it was a make or a miss, they were running, and the Suns had no desire to get back. 58 points in the paint for Memphis, 60-42 on the glass. 20 of those were offensive rebounds. They just destroyed the Suns. Suns made it interesting in the fourth quarter by getting hot, and that's the only thing they've got going for them, is if Tungsten Armo Doyle and Mike Trout get hot in fourth quarters. That's really all that's going on with the Suns right now. The other guy I'll throw a little bone to here is Santi Aldama. Another great game for this guy. 14 points, 4 threes, 5 rebounds, had that beautiful scoop layup. I think this guy should get some 6 Man of the Year votes. He's been awesome for the Grizzlies this year.
Absolutely. And it's great for Tyler Jenkins to be able to go to that bench and use him. And use Brandon Clark, who had an awesome game. And use whoever. Vince Williams was contributing. They went 11 deep again, while the Suns did not. Any other thoughts, or can we move on?
No, just quickly on the Grizzlies. Like a stat that surprised me, I guess. They improved to 14-3 following a loss this season. That's the hallmark of a really good team, in my opinion. You know, bounce back from an L and to get a W right away. And the Grizzlies rank 5th offensively, 6th defensively, and 4th in net rating at plus 7.6. They're one of just 4 teams in the top 10 across all 3 of those categories. We're talking OKC, we're talking Boston, and we're talking Cleveland. Those are, the 3 title favorites for a lot of people, I would assume. So are the Grizzlies right there? You look at their record against some of the better teams in the Western Conference. It's not amazing, but that was a good win. And I do think it's funny or fitting on a night where KD hits 30,000 points. And as Trey just said, nobody's been able to stop this guy for his entire career. That's the Suns. They just don't stop anybody. I'm with you. That transition defense, it's a joke. They don't talk. They don't help. They don't fight. So there's no scrappiness to them. They don't rebound. It's like no matter who's in there, be it Nick Richards, Bol, like they're 27th in the league there. They never turn their opponent over, so there's no easy baskets. It's just a slog. I mean, they got buckets. They got guys, some of the best ever at 2 positions. But you got to stop You got to stop the other team to give yourself a chance, and they don't.
They need Kendrick Perkins out there. If you heard Kendrick Perkins said, I was a leader of Kevin Durant's team in OKC. Either way, they've been like this all season long. Pre-trade deadline, pre-Nick Richards, they have been just kind of just rolling out there. So it's going to be tough for them, I think, to make the play-in, even though we'll get to a Dallas Mavericks injury a little bit later.
They just don't seem to have any fight in them at all. So we'll see what this team looks like by next season, because it sounds like Kevin Durant probably won't be there. I'm with you. Maybe he could get to top 5 all time. Pretty impressive, though. You said he was 3rd fastest ever to 30,000 behind Wilt Chamberlain and Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
And that's with KD missing huge chunks
Yeah.
of time. He had a foot injury, obviously had the Achilles a little bit later in his career. He did lead the league in scoring 4 times in 5 years early on with the Thunder. If he had stayed perfectly healthy, maybe he would have a chance to challenge LeBron. It looks ridiculous when you look at the all-time ranks, and LeBron is still 11,000 points ahead of Kevin Durant, so not reasonable, but, imagine KD had the reliability that LeBron did throughout his career. LeBron never missed games early on, which is part of the reason why he's able to stack up these stats. But KD, for me, the best scorer we've seen since Jordan from a pure scoring perspective.
For sure. Good point about the injuries, too. Yeah, that held him back for a long time, and we all wondered, how is Kevin Durant's career going to end? Well, it's going to end extremely well in terms of points scored, that's for sure. Moving on, the Raptors and the 76ers, another tough loss here in this game for the Philadelphia 76ers in this game, I should say. Scotty dropped 33 points. Maybe he's excited that Brandon Ingram's going to be his bud, signed an extension there, while the Philadelphia 76ers dropped to a season-worst 13 games under 500. You think they're going to catch the Bulls for 10th, Trey? I don't know.
No.
The Bulls were down 1,000 points last night, and still the Sixers don't gain a game out of them. It's unbelievable.
Sixers team is a joke. If you call this team a dangerous playoff team, any NBA podcast, I'm going to turn it off immediately. The Bulls have lost 12 of 16. Philadelphia has made up a half game in a month, and that includes beating the Bulls in a game. They have no consistency from week to week, night to night. They've played basically 2 good weeks of basketball this season. They have no urgency. Paul George is just out there. The guy scored 14 a game, looking like the new Tobias Harris on a gigantic contract. But the Eagles won the Super Bowl, so I think it'll fly under the radar a little bit. But they're not fun to watch. That Embiid turnover to end the game, what was going on there? Wide open to take a 3, even if he wanted to step in and take a 2, where he's probably a little bit more comfortable, just didn't have the confidence. He's 7 for 20 from 3 since returning from injury. I don't know. This team, I don't like to watch them.
That truly was a sad ending. 10 seconds left, down 2. Joel Embiid has a wide open 3. Nobody was so close to him.
Yeah.
And he decided to put it on the floor for some reason. And Grady Dick's getting the credit for the steal.
He just lost it.
He just lost it.
He tried to go behind his back.
He dribbled off his head.
Yeah.
It
just fell into Grady Dick's hands. Good position, obviously, to help out. But yeah, he did not cause that at all.
That was the Philadelphia 76ers season in one dribble. He lost it entirely. Maybe he can't slow down with those knees anymore, but he truly just lost it instead of just shooting a wide open shot. And there it goes. Even though the Raptors went to the free throw line and only hit 1 of 2. Doesn't matter. They still win to make it a 3-point lead. But that was a brain fart.
And the Boo Birds were out in Philly.
As soon as he turned it over, the Boos came down. Even for a team that just won a Super Bowl. And they were pumped.
They were there. The Super Bowl champs were there. Cooper DeJean.
Yeah, I think the best part of this game for Philadelphia 76ers was the sideline reporter interviewing all of them. I watched the entire game. I think they cheered the most for the Eagles. It was a really, really sad loss.
It's so depressing to watch this team. We just talked about the Suns. They're not a fun watch. The vibes are not all that amazing with that squad.
No.
I know we'll get to the Bulls, and they're obviously have picked that direction, so that at least there's that. But then you watch the Sixers, and it's they're the most vibeless team in the league. I couldn't imagine having to play on that team right now. It just seems like even Maxey, who seems like the most joyful, free-spirited guy in the league, even it's having an effect on him, I swear. It's so bad. And that was a bad loss. Yeah, we can get into Scotty and quickly having another good game, which was good for the Raps, but yeah, I'm with you, TK. We've been saying it for a very long time here, at least on No Dunks. Even if they somehow back their way into a play-in spot, give me a break. They ain't doing anything, the Sixers are in the postseason, if they get there.
I'm not confident that they could win the 9-10 game and then the winner of the next one. 2 straight games of playing well in high-leverage situations doesn't seem reasonable for the 76ers right now. Unfortunately, I woke up with a hater mindset today.
No.
A lot of ugly stuff. If we were doing weekend winners and losers based off last night, we would do 6 rounds of losers before we got to the winners.
I think you're right.
Yeah, huge losers. Suns and Sixers at home, in front of their home crowds, not being able to do it. But it isn't inaccurate to say that this team would get bombed, even if they made the play-in. and won the 7th or 8th seed, they would get bombed by either the Cavs or the Celtics. And that's why they have to shut it down right now. Because I think by next season, if Embiid is healthy, as he told Lisa Salters, I need to have surgery and get things right, and it's going to take a while. Like, if he did that, then everybody else is sort of smiling. Maybe the vibes are better because they go into next season with some good things going on. But you can't just start next season with an injured Joel Embiid and Paul George going into the second of a 4-year max deal and just have the same thing go into next year. Does that make Maxey happy? Is Maxey asking out? Or does that even say to Joel Embiid, we're not going anywhere? And maybe Embiid says in his 10th year of playing in Philadelphia, I want to trade. I just don't know
That'd
why.
That'd be a tough dude to trade right now. I know he's a former MVP and obviously runner-up and all that, but that's a fat contract for a guy that's proven that he can't stay out there.
I know. That
would be a hell of a risk for a team to take on, to convince yourself we're the team that can get, the best out of Joel Embiid as he ages and as he has to go undergo another surgery. Ugh.
But a terrible contract for him. Terrible contract for Paul George as it looks right here, right now. You got to at least try and do something different for next year. I just don't understand the go into the offseason, have a surgery, which Joel Embiid said he probably needs, get him back. Not 100%.
So you're just saying do it now?
Yeah, I would say do it now to give
now.
Joel Embiid the most time possible. And even if he comes back in November or whatever, even if it's a little late, I don't think that's a problem. I think you just start in a different way next year instead of starting with an injured guy. And Paul George, I'm sure, will be better next year. I assume he's got the pinky problem. I assume the guy can't go from all-star to a shell of himself. For no reason, I assume. But I don't know. I mean, he doesn't...
Seems to happen a lot in Philadelphia. An all-star turning into a shell of themselves. He's got one on his team, and one just signed with the Clippers as well. But they probably should shut him down at this point because they owe a top 6 protected pick to the Thunder, and believe it or not, they're only a game up on the Brooklyn Nets for 6th worst record in the league right now. If they shut down Embiid, I suppose they could get into maybe even the bottom 5, like the Raptors are coming up on the Sixers as well, so it might be smart to shut him down, but I don't know. Daryl Morey was saying at the trade deadline, if you squint, you can see a path to the NBA championship.
Oof.
Oh my God.
Maybe if you close your eyes and dream, you can.
That's a lot of squinting.
No.
That's just your eyes closed there, Daryl.
Oh, man. It was tough.
Because now the Big Three is back, and as Rich Hoffman tweeted out last night, it's not going well. They had a 13-point loss to the Cadeless Pistons, a game that was not even that close. Then they had an 8-point loss to the Giannisless Bucks. And now they lose to the Raptors, who came in with, 16 wins before getting their 17th. And they're at home. I mean, even with the Big Three back.
It was a Barrettless Raptors.
Oh, yeah,
and a
right.
Pirtleless Raptors.
Sure.
I mean, they missed some guys.
These should be wins. Because it was wait till the Big Three back. Wait till the Big Three back. To call it a Big Three is, that's pathetic, too, right, at this point. But, yeah, shut it down. I mean, it's sad. That's so... I wouldn't want to go to a Sixers game right now.
And just to touch on Scotty, because we'll talk about Brandon Ingram's extension in a second, but 33 points, a 30-point double-double for him. I loved his free throws that he was getting to the line for. I thought that was impressive.
Career high.
15 free throws. Yeah, it's a good call. Career high, 4th time double digits this season, tying the most of his career, even though he's only played about half of a season, just over 40 games now. His free throws are increasing year by year. I just loved how he did it. Bullying whoever got switched on to him, whether it's Tyrese Maxey or whatever, going into Paul George or trying to go past Yabusele because he knows he's got a speed advantage, or going through Joel Embiid at times, or one occasion of that. So 15 free throws.
You can thank Matt Bonner for that.
Pretty funny.
Which is amazing. Matt Bonner with Blake Murphy on the Raptors show the other day. Clip's making his way around the internet now. He sort of called out Scotty Barnes. You got to get, at least in the offseason, in your bag a little bit more. Add some plays where you can go one-on-one and get by guys, because a lot of the time, and it was a good clip, and he's not burying Scotty Barnes. He's pointing out what he sees that he really needs to add to his game. And after last night's game, they asked Scotty Barnes, what was the big difference that you were attacking the rim tonight, getting by guys? And he said, I was on IG, I saw a Matt Bonner clip. And, said I couldn't get by guys. So I decided, he sort of took it personally. And it was he was sort of smirking, a little tongue-in-cheek, but good on you, Matt Bonner. You got through to him. He does need to, cut out settling for the three-point shot. And you are such an athletic freak. yeah, you should be able to get by a lot of guys. And he can finish when he does inside. So good job, Matt.
Yeah, I think Matt Bonner is actually right. Like, Barnes needs to get to the rim. He should be living inside, and hopefully the jumper continues to develop because it's inconsistent right now, but the athleticism, the size, the length that Scotty Barnes has, he should be mostly an interior player, I think.
And he's such a good playmaker that if you get by the first line of defense, obviously guys are going to collapse, he'll make the right play. Like, he'll make the right pass. Even last night, he had a beautiful one into Ochai Agbaji, at the end of the game where they threw two guys up top at him, and he just passed it over them. And it was a nice finish inside. He has to have that sort of first quick step, or at least explosiveness, to get through the first guy and then make the defense react.
You called that he must be more of an interior player. Well, he's going to have that space because he's got a mid-range guy joining him. Brandon Ingram signed an extension with the Toronto Raptors. No games, no problem. Didn't play a game for the Raptors since being traded there for 5 days, and got the extension. 3 years, $120 million. First two guaranteed, player option for the third. Skeets, I know you were saying when he was traded, I wonder what that contract is going to be.
Yeah.
How do you feel about 3 for $120?
I feel great about it. It was what I was hoping was going to be the contract, and even I didn't believe it. I thought it was going to be a little bit more. But yeah, when they made the trade, we had 3 questions when it came to that Ingram deal. One, what was the next contract going to look like? How much was it going to cost them to keep him? The second thing was his durability, and the third thing is how he's going to fit on this team. So we don't know the answers to those last 2 questions, but we now know the contract, and I think it's a very reasonable price. I get that he got the player option, I think almost at a discount because of the $40 million per year, and now we'll see if he comes back this year, how he looks and how he fits with these guys. But yeah, I had no real complaints about what he signed there for 120. I did think, I don't know, I thought it was going to be more. So I think they got him at a pretty good deal here. I don't know if TK agrees.
Well, I probably would have liked to have the other 2 questions answered first. Can you play, get on the court, and can you play with our stars that are already here? And that's why I'm just sideways on this. I don't know. It's a buy low deal for sure. Yeah. It's a team-friendly deal, not super long. The Raptors don't have a great history of using cap space to get free agency, so you can see why they would target a guy like Ingram. He's a talented player, but I personally don't like the fit. I think he replicates a lot of what they already have. I don't think he fits their timeline all that well. It's going to have them force them to make a decision on RJ Barrett, Grady Dick, guys that Brandon Ingram is going to be taking possessions from when you're thinking those are development guys. And really, who were the Raptors bidding against? It would have been the Nets are the only team that could have signed him to a deal like this, so they probably could have waited it out if they wanted to. But I guess get it done, make him feel comfortable, and keep him around.
Yeah, get it done with a guy and a team that doesn't necessarily get a lot of free agents. Sign this guy to a deal. It sounds weird to say $40 million per year is a deal, but the max he could have got was 3 and 136. So it is a bit of a discount. And you got to think that this guy will find a new gear here in Toronto. I'm sure he's excited to be there.
That's what they're banking on, yeah.
You'd think that. It is weird to trade for a guy, not see him on the floor, and have a guy who has an injury currently, and not to see him on the floor and to give him that 3 years. That is definitely an odd part. But he kicked that trade kicker. He said, no, I don't need that when he was traded there. So it seems like he's more amped to be there. There's lots of guys who leave New Orleans, Anthony Davis for one, that go somewhere else and are super excited, 5+ years there just to move on to something, and he definitely needed a new start. I don't think there's any question about that. He's entering his prime here. It's a 3-year deal, and for him, he says, I'll take the 3 years because I'll be probably 30, 31, depending on when he ends the deal. So he could sign another big monster after that.
That would be great for Raptors fans if he honestly outplays his value over these next 2 years.
Yeah.
That'd be good, because that means he'd be playing really well, and hopefully that would include some wins and how it fits. I hear your concerns, TK, for sure. I think the Raptors believe, and let's be honest, this is called it's called pre-agency, right? At the trade deadline now. I'm sure this is basically agreed to. We're going to trade for you and we're going to sign you for this ballpark deal. They're going to hope they can unlock him when it comes to cutting more, so a little bit more off the ball, and obviously maybe just some more catch and shoot threes. And the thing is, Brandon Ingram is actually really good at those skills, but in the Pelican system and what he did there, they didn't sort of focus on those a lot. So I'd like to see if they can unlock that, and hopefully him at 28 can add that sort of to his game and just more of a free-flowing offense. But yeah, it's an expensive team that we don't know how it looks, and maybe there's some duplication in Barnes quickly, Ingram now, and then RJ Barrett. He's the one that might get actually squeezed out of all this down the line.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when I say he's going to be more enthused to play in this new city, part of it is, and part of it what should happen is, yes, some movement off the ball and some cutting and operating in a different zone than Scotty Barnes, which we see is happening with Scotty becoming more of a bully boy and Ingram becoming more of a three-point shooter, as he was in New Orleans, getting up 6+, a good chunk of them. But yes, it is a question of those two and RJ Barrett and Emmanuel quickly, and giving those four dudes $137 million next season. I mean, this team is almost a luxury tax team next season, which is, a little spooky before you see them play together. But if this is an opportunity, if things don't work out, to pivot into a different direction, because RJ Barrett next year, it'll just be that year plus one more year. So I'm sure it's tradable.
Yeah.
Beyond that, less tradable, with Ingram being the shortest of the other three, and then quickly, who hasn't proven to be himself quite yet this season. He hasn't played a lot.
Back-to-back 20-plus point games, though, now.
Yeah.
And he looked like the Quick of old. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Finally, I think you're seeing that he's healthy. So it's a good sign.
It is so funny here. We're in February, and I had flashbacks of when Quickly was traded to Toronto last year with RJ Barrett playing with Siakam in January. So it's 13 months ago, and they looked like that type of Quickly getting to the lane, doing that type of thing. And so people say, well, why don't you just keep Siakam instead of having Brandon Ingram? Well, Siakam needed a new start instead of being just a number one guy in Toronto. That didn't work out. And here you got a Brandon Ingram who is a damn talented scorer. He's not a defender like Pascal Siakam, but he is an incredible scorer. So TBD here on this one.
Yeah, and I will say, now that BI is off the market, I mean, look at the list of potential free agents for this summer. Potentially Van Vliet, right? Because the Rockets have a team option on that, so he might hit the market. I guess we have Julius Randle, James Harden, Kyrie Irving. Those are all player options. Miles Turner? Yeah.
Yep.
He's like the biggest, probably unrestricted free agent name, at least right now. So, yeah, Ingram doesn't at least test that market. And you're right, TK. Not who did they bid against is the real question. Maybe the Nets, maybe not, but I guess they locked him up at least for a couple of years.
I just like that another team is following the Bulls formula. No really great players, but 9 to 10 good players. That's a way to win.
Yeah, they hope Scotty Barnes takes on the very good players.
Yeah,
he has to grow a little bit. There's no doubt. TBD on that. We will see about Scotty. It hasn't happened quite yet. Although they do have now a guy who can close a possession, because Scotty has not been the guy to say, here's the ball, close a possession. Brandon Ingram is that guy.
Yep.
We'll see.
Got to play, though.
He does have to play. And that's the whole freaking Toronto Raptors issue
the whole
here.
team.
Yes.
So TBD on that. Anyway, let's touch on the final two games here. Karl Anthony Towns goes for 40 as the Knicks beat the Pacers in a 3-4 Eastern Conference battle. You called it yesterday, Trey. You said that the Knicks were going to handle the Pacers. They did that. How do you feel about this one?
Well, no Miles Turner in this one, and I think we saw that Thomas Bryant and Obi Toppin are not defenders because this was an absolute layup line for the New York Knicks. They scored 68 points in the paint. Karl Anthony Towns and Josh Hart both had 11 layups apiece. That's crazy. It was easy. I mean, they went by. For Towns, it was pump fake and get to the rim every single time. And for Josh Hart, it was back cuts and offensive rebounds every single time. 30, 10, 5 assists, 2 steals for Josh Hart. Give him an MIP vote. The guy's having an incredible season. Career highs in points, rebounds, assists, percentages, and you guessed it, minutes. He's playing a ton of minutes. So the counting stats are going to look nice, but he's a perfect fit alongside Towns and Brunson because they take up so much attention from the defense. There's a lot of space out there, so he can just go nuts, cutting, in offensive rebounding. And that's exactly what the Knicks need. The Pacers just didn't have anything defensively, and they didn't have really any big guys to be playing. Jahlil Okafor got minutes in this game.
Yeah, they could have used Alex Len.
Exactly, Len Sanity.
Yeah, I mean, I popped a little bit when Towns, I think it was Bryant, because it felt like it was Bryant all night. He Towns drove baseline and dunked it. And I was like, whoa. I mean, you just don't really see that from Cat all that often. His dunks usually are the pump fake variety up top from the 3-point, and then he screams in and dunks it. But that baseline one caught me by surprise in traffic. So he had his way, the 40 points and Hart with 30 and 10, man. And I'll say, the Knicks got like bench contributions last night, which, I think is going to be their Achilles heel when you get into some postseasons. Now, I know you shorten the bench, and don't worry, Tibbs plays those guys heavy minutes, but promising to see Deuce McBride with 15 points. He went 4 of 4 from deep. Cam Payne had 9 points, 8 assists. I thought he had some really nice plays sort of when the Pacers were trying to stick around there in the second half. And then Landry Shamet, 11 points and 4 assists. So those 3 guys, all a positive in the box score too, plus minus. So that's good at least for the Knicks.
Some odd things happening. As you said, Jahlil Okafor got minutes. I was perplexed seeing a Raptors rotation. Ulrich Shamshay played yesterday, the youngest player in the National Basketball Association at 19, shares a birthday with a man who's 21 years older than him and plays in the NBA.
It's got to be LeBron James.
It's LeBron. Him and LeBron have the same birthday. He just turned 19. Well, Bron on the other side is more than double his age. He was the youngest guy. I will say Josh Hart was awesome. And just the attempts of 16 attempts, just 3 threes and 13 just right by the rim. So close. Josh Hart, perfect stuff. That's who he is. And yeah, that's an interesting most improved player vote. Deservedly so.
He ain't going to win, but he could be on your ballot.
He can be on a ballot.
Yeah, Shamet, I don't think he'll play in the playoffs, but it was good to see him shooting. OG didn't play in this one as well, so that kicks guys down. Achua will take the spot. What's his name? Mitch Robinson is going to be there eventually. But I do think McBride playing well is going to be huge for them. 4 threes is big time because with him, I feel like he's more steady than Cam Payne is. Cam Payne maybe could give you 20 off the bench, but he could also give you 1 off the bench. Mm-hmm. He's going to take the exact same shots. So I think McBride is kind of a key piece for them bench-wise.
It was weird. Brunson was in foul trouble in this game, which was just, I don't know. I can't remember that happening all that frequent. So that's why we got a little bit more of those guards off the bench,
Yeah, the Knicks getting a little more separation for that 3rd seed because the Pacers were coming for them a little bit. They're in the 4th spot, but the Pacers are so interesting. They've just slowed down here in February a little bit. They've beaten the top 3 in the East. They've beaten the Cavs, they've beaten the Boston Celtics, they've beaten the Knicks this season, but they couldn't do it in this one. Yeah, they just don't look quite themselves right here, right now. Getting to the final game. Whew. Not much to say about this one. The Pistons smacked the Bulls by 40 points, but I wanted to hear your pain, Trey, after watching. I got a lot to say
about this one.
All right.
This was disgusting basketball from the Chicago Bulls. They were down 71-29 at halftime. That adds up to 100. Was it on purpose? I don't know. They were 1 for 23 from 3 after missing their first 20 in the first half. The Bulls had 12 makes and 10 turnovers. Got 1 text from my dad. He said, possibly the ugliest half of basketball that I have ever seen. And this guy saw Isaiah Thomas play high school basketball. That's how old he is. Jeez. He's the Hubie Brown of my parents. It was just an absolute disaster class from the Bulls, but a legitimately funny moment in the second quarter. Nikola Vucevic started the game 0 for 9, finally made his first shot, his 10th shot on a little baby hook. Pumped his arms up and down like, woo, I finally made a shot. The whole crowd went nuts. It was like a men's league when you're playing for 4 straight minutes and somebody finally makes a basket. It's 1-0. We did it! That was the Bulls. The silver lining, though, Matas Buzelis led the team in scoring for the first time in his career, a whopping 12 points, and the Bulls won the second half.
Wow.
1-1 last night, half-wise.
Wow. Hey, they did the same against the Warriors the game before. They won the first half, lost the second half.
That's why I asked you, man. I had to hear it. And they play again today in Chicago. The same exact game is going to happen. Yeah. So strange. That is going to be painful. Did you watch any of this from your planet, wherever you are?
I definitely watched the highlights of this one. I was having a good laugh at the halftime score that a poor, intern has to blast to the social media channels for the Bulls that showed the 71-29. my first thought, man, I could really use the Cavaliers diff right now. That's a tough one to figure out.
Yeah.
What are they up? Are they up 89? I don't know. I'm not that good at math. But
Does Io DeSumo have a leg there? That's when I first saw that. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's strange.
so that was funny. It obviously got a little bit better, I guess. Better. Throw that in air quotes. But man, how about them Pistons too?
Oh, yeah.
Malik Beasley, he broke the record for most threes in a season for a Detroit Piston player. There are 28 games left. And when he did it, I don't know if you guys saw the clip, he literally was like hugging and celebrating with beef stew on the way back down the floor. Like that's how such an ass kicking this game was that they were just like basically celebrating mid game. The pretty cool accolade there for Beasley, but yeah, this was I mean, look, the Pistons are a good team, and the Chicago Bulls are not. They're the opposite of that right now. So yeah, we'll see what happens tonight. That's a fascinating one. What's the line on that one, Tass? On the rematch here?
I don't know. What do you
Detroit's
think?
got to be favored, right?
Yeah,
But probably not by a lot.
I hope so.
Gotta be favored.
Yeah, it's not
5.5?
It's not by 40. It's only 6.5.
Yeah. Okay.
You'd think it'd be
They're
more.
saying bounce back game.
Bounce back.
I saw on CBS Sports. Did the Bulls, when you combine the two games, the loss to the Warriors and then that loss to the Pistons, did they have the worst 4-quarter stretch ever in NBA history? Because they got beat by 35 points in the second half to the Warriors on Saturday, and then they immediately follow that up by losing by 42 in the first half to the Pistons. So that's 77 points. Over a game, if you want to call it that, second half and then the first half. So that's the Luka right there. They were down a Luka.
It's close. It's got to be close.
I think it's close.
We've seen teams lose by 60 in a single game.
Yeah.
So is that worse? One game? It's just one game versus other games. I don't know.
Yeah.
The Bulls used to have Dang, Heinrich, and Joakim Noah, wearing number 9, 12, and 13, and now it's Vooch, Kevin Herter, and Zach Collins. How far we've fallen.
Last thing about that game, an accomplishment, a stat that you'll probably forget, but I have to say it. Cunningham became the third fastest player in NBA history to reach 4,000 points, 1,000 rebounds, and 1,300 assists.
Oh, 1,300. Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those you'll definitely forget. Last thing here, final piece of news. This is unfortunate for the Dallas Mavericks because Daniel Gafford will be reevaluated in 2 weeks because of a knee sprain. All their bigs are hurt. We know that Derek Lively is out for an extended period. Dwight Powell is out. Another center who wasn't supposed to play center, but is going to play center for this team and did when he got his first debut, Anthony Davis, but he had to leave. So here we are. Fourth center out for Dallas. Thoughts on this, Skeets?
I don't have much thoughts. Yeah, I mean, we didn't know how severe it was. We thought it was bad, but I guess reevaluated in 2 weeks. It could be worse. I mean, you do have the All-Star break here, so there will be some time off. But yeah, no, it's brutal. I don't know, man. That feels like the basketball gods are having their say here after trading their franchise player in Luka for AD and pieces, and now everybody is down. Trey Kirby, I think, should get a chance, for being honest. Let's play some big minutes for the Mavericks. They need a big guy, man.
Yeah, that's right. Kyler Kelly, Trey Kirby.
Yeah.
That's a good match. Yeah, Alex Len off the board, unfortunately, for the Dallas Mavericks as well. So I had to dip into Spotrac to see who we even got potentially available as a center for like a 10-day contract as a stopgap measure. And it's like JaVale McGee, who's got a little Dallas experience, Boban Marjanovic, Omer Yurtseven, Damian Jones, Shimizi Metu. Can you get Billy Hernan Gomez out of Spain?
Oh, where's Willie?
Rob Pelinka said the center market is kind of dry at the trade deadline. He was right, because those are not great players that you're getting here.
Has DeMarcus Cousins officially retired?
He would be back in a second if you give him a call.
Yeah.
Him and Dwight, they're waiting by the phone. Anytime a big guy gets hurt, they buy extra minutes for their cell phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird thing is PJ Washington also banged up for the Mavs. They are lacking. Yeah, they'll take anybody.
Tice, I guess. Tice is nice.
Yeah, why not?
He's still out there, is he?
I guess so.
He's out
released
there
by the Thunder.
Yeah.
All right, we'll see if the Dallas Mavericks can avoid dropping out of a play-in spot, because they still own that right now, but they got a couple tough games before the All-Star weekend, the Warriors and the Heat. All right, moving on. We talked to Joe Dumars yesterday about why the All-Star game should be good this weekend. Also about the prize pool of money for All-Stars. We talked to him about a bunch of stuff. Here's the conversation. Excited to have Hall of Famer. He oversees basketball operations in the league office, Joe Dumars. Joe, thank you for joining us today.
Happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, no, we are thankful to have you on, and we're excited for the All-Star weekend coming up, which you have a lot of experience with, being there 6 times. Is there any one memory that stands out for you, Joe?
I think I guarantee for most guys, it's their first All-Star game. Mm-hmm. The first All-Star game for me, I think, was in Miami, and walk in the room and you just look at the lockers in there. And for me, I'm looking at lockers. This is Bird and Michael and Barkley and all the guys. And, you know, these are my contemporaries, but still, I'm still a kid. I'm probably 25 or 26. And just looking at the locker room when I walked in and just looking at all the jerseys hanging up, it was just, I don't know. I think the first time you ever walk in like that and you're a young player, I think that's always going to stick with you.
That makes me think of Cade and him going for the first time. What are your thoughts on Cade Cunningham? First time for a Piston in a while.
Yeah, man, so happy for Cade. You know, I think for those who follow the game closely like you guys do, you realize that, you know, you hear people say, man, he's going to have to take his game to the next level. I think you're just seeing that right now. You're seeing it play out right now. He's actually doing what people say all the time. Guy needs to take his game to the next level. He's taken it to the next level, and he's been rewarded, justifiably so, as an all-star this year, just playing incredible basketball.
Now, I have to ask you, you know, you oversee the office, the basketball operations there. This feels like we're watching something unprecedented with Luka Doncic being traded. Is there anything that reminds you from the past about this same type of deal?
Since this has taken place, you know, I've thought a lot about this trade and how it resonated with so many people. I think the reason it resonated so much, it's such a story, is because it is unique. It is different. We have not, I can't think, I started thinking back like, man, where did this happen before? You know, when did this happen before? Who did this happen to before? I just can't think of it. It may be. I just can't think of it right now. And I think that's why it's become such a big story because, you know, look, he's a generational talent. He's 25 years old. And he was traded in the middle of the season. Yeah. And so I just think those things right there, if you just say those things out loud, you go, okay, this is different, you know? And so I think that's why it's become such a story because of those 3 things right there: generational talent, 25, traded in the middle of the season.
Yeah. When you said those words, when you said the words traded, even to me, even though it's happened 10 days ago now, it still makes me feel like I definitely haven't seen it covering the NBA here for like 20 years. It just feels so different. It is something that we're watching here in this very, very fun season. And I want to get your opinion. Who you think is going to be MVP this season?
I don't know. It's probably not for me in my position here to pontificate on too much or give too much of a guess who might be. I wouldn't do that. I will say, though, that what Jokic and SGA are doing is simply special. And so those guys, you know, they've been kind of the top 2 guys all year. I just think what you're seeing is some really special basketball. It doesn't happen every year. It doesn't happen every generation. And so I just think that, you know, whoever wins this, and there are other guys who are playing incredible too. Giannis has been playing incredible this year. Tatum has been playing incredible. LeBron James has been playing incredible. 40 years old, he's been playing incredible. So whoever wins it is going to be deserving. But I do say, man, what you're seeing right now in the league right now with these young guys and and what they're doing on the court on a nightly basis is simply amazing. And I'm a fan of it. I tip my hat to these young guys.
They are incredible. I appreciate the answer because we asked the late, great Dikembe Mutombo, and it was a January. He came into the studio, and we asked him, and we got off camera, and he said, why are you asking me about MVP in January, man? It's too early for that. He was awesome. And he predicted Giannis, who, he was right. And he got there. Giannis got there. Let's move on to the new All-Star format. You being such a great defender, Joe, do you think these changes will induce a little bit of defense out there this year?
We're hoping so.
Yep.
We really are. We're really hoping so that it can add some excitement to the game. Look, with these games being shorter burst of games is how I describe it. These are short bursts. You don't have a time to work your way into the game. Like, if the target score is 40, 4 or 5 threes in a row, you're getting close to halfway there already. And so I'm just saying, like, I think you just have to play a lot quicker, short bursts. And so we're really hoping that it really turns into some exciting basketball for the fans.
Right. It's 4 teams, 3 games to 40 points.
Yep.
I think that definitely does encourage a little bit of inspired ball, just because it can be really 15 buckets. Game over.
Did you watch the All-Star game last year?
I was there.
Okay. So I think about that game, right?
Yep.
So I was thinking about that game, and I said, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that Halliburton hit like 5 threes in the first quarter. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, man, that's 15 points already. and he did that like within like maybe a 5-minute span or less. And I started thinking about how quickly you can get to 40 if you get guys who just get hot and get into a zone and get on a roll. It could really be exciting if these guys start really dialing in and knocking down those long shots.
Totally. It can fly by just like that. Yeah. It can go extremely quickly. And that's actually one of the concerns I had thinking about 3 quick games. That can be over real fast, not just because guys aren't playing hard or not playing defense, just because of how many points they can score. Is there a possibility that this thing takes like 20 minutes and we're done here? Or
So back to your point that you said earlier, though. So if a guy comes down and he hits 4 threes on me, man, I am about to lock into him. And I think, to your point about defense, I think if a guy hits 3 or 4 threes in a row on you, and you know that game is to 40, you got to check up, man. Right. You got to get into that guy and make sure he just doesn't roll you off the court with threes like that. So I do think that there's a chance of that happening as well.
Totally. Last year when I was in person, I remember Giannis, speaking of him and MVP, I remember him, one of the plays was him getting down into a defensive position, guarding a 3-point shooter. And last year, guys were flying up and down the floor, and guys were kind of chilling out at times because it's hard work playing defense over and over and over again. But if you're playing till 40, that's a lot different. That's kind of like a quarter. So it should be exciting. I'm sure there will be, in the intermissions, there'll be concerts, there'll be shows, there'll be stuff going on in the arena. So I'm looking forward to that. One thing I wanted to ask you about was the prize pool of cash going around to everybody, which I think helps out. The prize pool is 1.8 mil, with each member of the winner team receiving 125,000. How is that decided? Will it grow? And do the players know about it? I suppose since I know about it, the players must know about it.
They do know about it.
Yeah.
Listen, one of the biggest things in NBA practice is a $100 bill being placed at half court, and everybody's lining up to shoot for it. And invariably, you see the guy who wins it, you would think he won, like he's going to the finals. So yes, they know it matters. And like I said, even if it's $100 after practice, everybody wants to win the money, man. So these guys they'll be pumped, and they know exactly what it is. And and they'll play for it. They'll play for that. But I really do think that, I'm going to go back to the game. I really do think that the 40-point games can inspire some good basketball.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the format is the main point here. The prize pool money is kind of going under the radar right now. But it is something for them to play for.
Yeah, it is something. Yeah, exactly.
One thing I'll ask you before I let you go, being from the 80s and the 90s when the slam dunk contest was a little different, where the stars were definitely inspired to go into it. Obviously, Michael, Neek, the guys you were mentioning. Can we get back to that? Is there a way to get back to that? Or what's the idea just after we have, I'm sure, great dunkers here this weekend? Is there a way to get the All-Stars, more of them involved?
Yeah, I think what's happening is, I think some of the young stars who may not quite be an All-Star yet, they're like 1 year away from maybe being an All-Star. I think you're going to see those guys. We've been close to getting some of those guys. They're young stars. They haven't crossed the threshold of being an official All-Star yet, but people know exactly who they are. I think you're going to start seeing those guys get more into the dunk contest. I think it would be great. I do. I really do. I think, you put name players out there that people know and identify with and follow their teams. I think it all helps. I think these young guys this year, I think kids like Castle and these guys like that from San Antonio, I think people are going to be surprised at what these guys are uber athletic, like crazy hops. And so I do think these young guys, and then McClung has also done his thing like 2 years in a row. This will be 3 in a row. So I do think these young guys, as much as we want to see the All-Stars, I'm not sleeping on these young guys. They're going to put on a show. I'm telling you, these young kids are crazy. They got crazy hops, man.
Yeah, I think Stephon Castle's got it this weekend. I believe in him. And
you see some of the dunks he does in games. He drives down the lane. It's crazy. Like I was in Paris at the game, San Antonio, Indiana, and I was right under the basket. He drove down the lane, but it wasn't like a crazy burst, right? So when a guy turns the corner and he has a crazy burst, immediately you think, oh, he could jam this. Yeah. He went down the lane like half speed. And the next thing you know, his head was up around the rim. And I remember thinking, this is unbelievable to watch this kid. Like, he wasn't even going full speed. And boom, his head was up over the rim. I was like, man, this is insane how this young kid can get up.
Yeah, I watch him, and I think his Euro step is probably the sickest one in the league. I don't know if he can implement that with the dunk, but sometimes I just watch him. I mean, I was in bed watching a Milwaukee San Antonio game, and to see him, he dunked on Brook, no problem. That was a nice one. And so,
do you know how hard it is to do that one leg like Euro step and stop? Like to decelerate like that. It's. I'm telling you, man, I'm like really impressed with a lot of these young guys, man.
Yeah. So I was thinking about Evan Mobley did it yesterday and how he stopped. He stopped on one leg, and I just couldn't believe it. Being a giant like that, where he was able to just stop. He changed his pace, and it was unbelievable how he was supposed to stop like that.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy.
Against Minnesota yesterday. So I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Can I ask you, will you be in attendance? I gotta assume you'll be in the house.
Oh yeah, I'll be there.
Yeah,
I'll be there. I will be there.
It'll be a fun one. So
it'll be a fun one. It should be a fun weekend.
I imagine. I bet it will. I know there's some people wondering, well, will this new format work? Blah, blah, blah.
It'll be a fun weekend.
All right, Joe. I thank you so much for your time. Joe Dumars.
Thank you.
Man, Joe Dumars. Selling that All-Star game.
I like it. Joe Dumars seems like a great guy, man.
He's awesome.
This is not the old head who hates the new way of playing in the NBA. This guy's bigging up all the young guys, but hearing him talk, it seems like we need to put the prize money at half court. He's saying if they're going crazy for $100 on half court shots, imagine if you put $250K there.
Yeah, it's a very, very good point.
Oh yeah, do it like Squid Games. Get the big piggy bank and have it hanging from the jumbotron. Put all the money in there. That'd be cool.
Well, one thing that will be on the court is Kevin Hart. because Kevin Hart has been announced as the first MC of the All-Star Game. First ever on court, specifically, of the All-Star Game. What are your thoughts? Skeets, we'll start with you.
Oh, baby! Oh, baby! I don't know. I guess it depends how you feel about Kevin Hart. I guess if we're being honest, like if you think he's funny and, obviously does have energy, I'll give him that. Then maybe he adds something. But if you find him tiresome or not funny, then I could see you thinking this is going to be very annoying, which it could be in play here. But I did have a pretty good laugh at the press release that said, quote, Hart, a longtime friend of the NBA and 4-time NBA All-Star Celebrity Game MVP, will bring his signature humor and energy to the reimagined All-Star Game format. And he will be doing, I guess, commentary from the court as it unfolds. Yeah. So
that's the scary part. That is it more like an N1 game?
That's how I read it. Yeah.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I want. I don't want a stand-up routine during the game. I want to know baby guy.
Yeah.
For the most part, coming up with nicknames, I guess it'd be a little bit like a hybrid of what Common did when he did the introduction. It was coming up with lines for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm a little skeptical. I'm a little skeptical of everything with this All-Star weekend, but maybe it'll work out great.
Well, the thing I loved about Common, it was before the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And that's it. Then they played basketball. He was done talking.
Yeah.
This will be different with Kevin Hart on the mic.
You know what?
Throughout the game, on the court,
yeah,
it will be different. How much is he going to talk? Will the guys even
engage with him? Yeah.
Or like it? I mean, will it bother them a little bit to hear the end one-ish type of thing? Like they'll be piping through the speakers, I imagine, or maybe not, I guess.
No, you would have to be able to hear it there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, if Kevin Hart is there with a mic literally standing on the floor, you're going to be hearing it.
I was when I first read this, I rolled my eyes and I was like, okay, what are we doing here? But now, like, maybe hearing Joe Dumars talk a little bit and maybe obviously talking about this new format, could Kevin Hart play a role, hear me out here, in getting some of these guys to actually play defense? And like, because you could sort of like clown the guy in the game, right? If Halliburton, or not Halliburton this year, but if somebody hits a couple threes in somebody's eye, you could see Hart being like, come on, LeBron, you going to let him do that again? Like, I don't know, maybe encourages a little more intensity. And I mean, I'm sure some hilarious antics as well, but maybe that works. I don't know.
Yeah, it's possible. Or it's the other side where LeBron says, why are you talking during a game, man?
Well,
and then that doesn't encourage him. It actually demotivates him.
Don't you think that like 90% of it will be pretty bad and sort of cringy, and then maybe there's like one or two moments that come out of this All-Star Game format with Kevin Hart engaging with somebody or getting trucked over by somebody or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. That's like your viral moment, and then it's like, okay, the rest of it all sucked, but who cares in the end?
Yes, that's possible.
Yeah.
I just wanted one or two moments of defense. That's what I desire. And
defense?
Yeah.
Can Kevin Hart play
like
defense?
Guys playing hard. I don't know if that inspires it. I have no idea.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. They should maybe give LeBron a microphone as well. Him and Kevin Hart do commercials together.
Yeah.
They got a little bit of a relationship and maybe some chemistry that could play through. So I guess we'll see. Mm-hmm. And it also sounds like Skeets, Kevin Hart needs a basketball reference page. The guy's a 4-time celebrity game MVP. He raced Usain Bolt. He was in a 3-point shooting contest with Draymond
Nearly
Green.
beat him. Yeah.
He did a dunk contest with a kid at one point, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
This guy has done a lot.
Trey, he's a longtime friend of the NBA.
He's a big friend.
Yeah,
one of the friendliest friends, I would say.
I forgot, or I can't remember the race against Usain Bolt.
I only saw that earlier today on Twitter.
Oh, that is.
They do a lot of experiments at All-Star Weekend.
That's entirely fine. And we didn't have the chance to talk to Joe Dumars about it, although I'm sure Joe knew about it. It wasn't announced to the public till after our interview, because I would have definitely asked him about it. I mean, I'm sure he is, along with everybody in the NBA, is feeling it out. As you said, they try stuff. TBD here.
We keep trying stuff, and I'm really appreciative that Joe came on, and that was really a fun interview. I just am not convinced the format matters at all. I think it just comes down to the players deciding. I don't think it matters if it's a mini game or an East versus West or World versus USA. I don't. To get to a competitive ending and a competitive game, that's the players. They have to decide that.
Oh yeah, obviously.
So you know, I could just anyway. We'll see.
Anyways.
We'll see. Fingers crossed that they decide to play a little bit harder this year. Yeah.
Yeah, and you said there might be a couple viral moments from Kevin Hart saying something funny. All we're looking for is a few good moments in the games. I mean, we're not asking them to play an NBA Finals
That's why they're
game.
making them as short as possible.
Yeah, I mean the games could be some like 5-10 possessions of guys playing hard. That's all you're asking. That's all you're really asking,
No,
and that's
you're not
all
wrong.
it was. Even in Joe Dumars' days, it was more of a fourth quarter where they really locked down.
Yeah.
So TBD on that. We'll see. We'll see this weekend. All right, moving on to tonight's Pick'em payoff game. Excuse me. Grizzlies go into Los Angeles to play the Clippers. They're on a back-to-back, and they get 4.5 points because they're on that back-to-back. The Clippers got to win by 5 or more. The Grizz went 11 deep yesterday. I don't think they're too tired, and that's why I'm taking them. You guys got no problem taking the Clippers. Is it the back-to-back thing? You think Grizzlies are going to be tired going into Los Angeles today?
Yeah, it's the back-to-back to me is the main thing, just because, I mean, like, is Ja Morant going to play? Yeah, I don't feel like he's been playing back-to-backs lately, and that would obviously be a loss for the Grizzlies, and, you know, it's the start of the Ben Simmons era in LA, so we shall see.
That's a very good point. You got any thoughts on this, Skeets?
No, it's getting cold here in space, man. One of the lights went out back here. I don't know if we forgot to charge it yesterday. So, yeah. Just trying to stay alive, Tess. Trying to get home to my daughter.
Yeah, I don't know how it is in space, but we are getting a storm coming down here to Atlanta.
Yes.
Yeah. We're on a stream team here where John Horn said it's -2 Celsius. In Western Canada, it's going to get below 0 and below 32 Fahrenheit in Georgia this weekend.
Just doing a weather report, huh?
And just a
Yeah,
quickie.
what is going on right now?
There's storms everywhere.
Nice.
Yeah.
Stay safe out there, people.
Yeah, why
School
not?
hasn't been canceled yet, but I'm sure it'll happen.
Yeah, it could very
It
well
was a little
happen.
chilly this morning.
Anyways, you can't be cold back there.
No, I was making a space joke.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I
You
will
never know.
say, we are going to be doing a lot of live shows this weekend around the All-Star Weekend content. So we're going to be live for that All-Star Saturday night. We're going to do a reaction podcast after. We're going to do a reaction podcast after Sunday night. They won't send us to the Bay, so we bring the Bay to us. So anyway, I'll be looking forward to that.
Yeah, you'll just be sitting here. I think you're out of space after Friday. So just
I'll
2
be
more
on-
shows for you.
I'll be on Cooper Station by then.
All right, that's it for us. We will be back tomorrow. But for now, Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, Joe Dumars and Jason Doyle have the same initials and the same glasses.
Brace the day, people.